Hey, how's it going? My name is Ashley Rose, but you can call me Ash, and welcome to the channel. I am here with Toria from Toria and the Terror. And how are you doing today before I get on to our sponsors?
I am doing wonderful. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Cool, awesome. I'm excited to be here. This is the first time we've actually met and had any like talks or any type of like conversation, so it's going to be cool. Before I continue, we are sponsored by Phoenix Rising Cosmetics, which used to be Vampire Cosmetics. You can get 20% off. Use the code AROSECPE. That's Charlie Papa Echo. If you're listening to it on audio, you see it, it'll be on the screen in the description. Also sponsored by Abracadabra NYC, the year-round Halloween store. Check them out. 10% off. A Rose Distortion, my handle. Anyways, Toria, you're good. I'm glad to hear from you. This is the first time we've met, we've talked. For those who are not familiar with you, let's talk about you. Let's talk about yourself. I know you are front of your band, so let's go from there. Describe your sound, describe you if you were on Wikipedia.
So I like to think of us as two punk for metal and two metal for punk, but with a pop girl sensibility and a um no, yeah, I guess a pop girl sensibility. I like to think about it like I love My Chemical Romance, classic goth bands. I love um of horror punk, of course. And I love J metal. So I like to think of it as a big mix of things. I value tight vocals and things like that. So definitely all horror, but a, with a new twist, a new gay twist.
Fair enough. That's a good description. I've actually seen My Chemical Romance live.
Same. I was gonna say jealous, and then I remembered that I did too.
I saw them actually at a festival in Dallas.
Oh my
They,
gosh. I saw them in Warrington for the reunion with my mother because my mother loves My Chemical Romance too.
yeah, as far as when I saw them, they had just released Black Parade. So that should
Oh,
give you an idea how old I am. Actually, they didn't headline at the festival. The band that headlined was the Killers,
oh my gosh, that would have
and
been
Placebo opened up. So it was an all day thing. So I did see My Chemical Romance. I saw like the Killers and I saw Placebo there at the time.
amazing.
So that should tell you how old I am.
Well, Queen, you look amazing.
Well, thank you. You do too. And like I said, I'm kind of glad that they're back together. That's really cool. And I think it's awesome that it's like a whole new generation that's listening to My Chemical Romance.
Absolutely. And I think especially their first record with like all of the horror references, though that actually inspired me a lot. And their dedication to vampire aesthetics, because a big part of what we do at the Terror it is a lot more leaning towards vampires. We love all types of like cryptids and stuff like that. I was born in West Virginia, so I am a Mothman fan. So
Okay.
yeah, it's mainly vampire leaning, and I kind of get that a portion of the inspiration from My Chemical Romance, actually.
It's cool. As far as, classic goth bands, who do you like?
Um, I am a massive Bauhaus fan. I do have a Bauhaus tattoo. Um, I love Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry, and I love um Christian Death when Roz was in it. Um, and I love how the second I talk about it all the time. The second I'm asked about it, they've all left my brain. Love Susie, love The Cure, love it all. Um, my partner is very into dark wave
Oh, okay, cool.
and we'll probably start making dark wave together at some point. So it's funny because I'm learning a lot more about like dark wave and like Molchat Dema and all that from them, and they're learning more about like the death rock alien sex fiend side from me. So that's really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Darkwave, it's it's kind of like I okay, so I'm kind of like really into like as far as goth, as far as when we go back to like Baja's original Cure, because it just really depends what part of the Cure you like.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's all good to me. I like the Cure. Uh, but I'm more of a Baja's fan. I like, the Sisters of Mercy, you know.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, how did I forget? I actually, my guitarist partner and I are going to see Sisters soon, actually. How could I forget?
Yeah, so, but I also like a lot of post-punk, dark punk as well. So dark wave to me, it's kind of like it's an acquired listen to taste
Definitely.
genre.
I
And
understand that.
I have to like listen, I have to be in the mood to listen to it, but I do listen to it occasionally. I also like industrial goth,
Yes.
like Nine Inch Nails and that era. Because
Yes,
I
love.
grew up with that era. With what's first of all, let me start over again. We'll talk about the album. What was it like, getting that that extension for We Are Horror from Dan, how did
Well,
it happen? How did it occur? How did he come across you?
I think I found him first on Instagram. I think when the label had just started, maybe. Um, and I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, that's cool. I hope that's on the cards for me one day." So I followed, and then um, Dan started following us back, I believe, and then we went. We did 2 nights of a tour that Famous Monsters, which I am American, but I do live in England. So we were doing 2 nights with them in a row, which we called a mini tour because we hadn't gone that far out of town or out of our area of England. And the drummer for Famous Monsters is actually the one of the members of Siblings of Samhain or Siblings of Samhain. I'm not sure how they pronounce it. Um, who are with We Are Horror, and they gave us Dan's phone number, and the rest is history.
When I was with like, my other platform before I moved to my own primary channel, because I wanted to do something more music based versus sports based.
Yeah,
So I was already leaning towards that transition. I had already been in contact with Dan. Dan's a pretty easy guy to work with.
absolutely.
You hear my cat? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was gonna say the same to you.
I mean, I have a pretty good mic, but if you hear him, he says hi. Well, one of them says hi. So, he's pretty easy to work with. Very understanding. So, and he has a couple people I know that are signed on there. It's going to be an interesting evolution as far as what we're going to see with We Are Hard. I think it's a solid start. They have a solid, lineup as
Oh,
far as when it comes to music.
absolutely. Especially with some of the new people we've got in the family, they are amazing. And I really enjoy getting to speak with them. Even if they're in a different country, I love getting to speak with them and potentially work with them in the future. And compare notes, really. It's really cool to see our genre and grow basically. It's really really nice to see that it's we're still out here, we're still kicking. There's still a really deep appreciation and even a newfound appreciation in my generation, I think, of horror music in general, but horror punk as a genre and as a piece of history.
As far as horror punk, who's really your go-to? I mean, I know everyone says like Misfits, but everyone's going to say Misfits. But besides Misfits, who's really your go-to?
Well,
That's,
I've got to
that's
say,
still touring or still playing or still releasing albums.
Um, Zombina and the Skeletons, who actually I am proud to say have become friends of me and friends of the band. Um, and also I love the Creep Show. I'm more inclined towards I guess lady fronted or assigned female at birth fronted. Um, but I love I love a bit of everything when it comes to it. I like to stay aware. So I like no, yeah, I've been a fan of Zombina for a while, like since high school. Before I knew that I was moving to Liverpool, actually. And when I got here, I saw a poster for a gig that Zombina was doing when I got here, and I it clicked in my brain. And I was like, oh my God, actually. And at the time, actually, I thought I was going to make pop music or um, I wanted to make horror themed pop music. So it was still going to be horror music because in my brain, I cannot write anything normal. My brain automatically goes to gore illusions or creepy. Or even if I try to write something that um, isn't necessarily for me. I remember, so my band, we met in university um, because we were all doing songwriting degrees. So I was writing a song with someone I live with, um, and it was mainly for him. And I was writing something, and he looks at me and he goes, "Nope." Or I sang a line, he said, "Nope." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "That is just too dark. I would never say that." So, um, yeah, but Zombina really helped me to realize that I can actually do it. I it's attainable for me. I can make what I want to make. And their sound is just classic. It's timeless. They're so very important to me.
Let's go into, your influences, and as far as collaborations, it's easy to say that that's who you would probably look forward to collaborating with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got two shows coming up with them next month. I absolutely cannot wait. We have the honor of playing album release, their new album that's coming out, Call of Zombina. I'm so excited. I love it. I'm doing so much promo for them right now. I it's so nice to have so much support from a group that I like to think of horror punk having different waves.
It
It's so nice.
does. It
Yeah.
does. You are
I,
right. That is not made up. It does.
yes. Well, I'm so glad to have support from members, founding members of the previous wave. It warms my heart. It makes me so happy, and it gives me the courage to innovate a little bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of like happy to say that, horror rock, horror punk, it's a genre that hasn't died, and I don't see it going anywhere else. Just like anything with music and life in general, things go in waves. So, I mean, we're seeing it now with things that are coming back, things as far as even styles, fashion,
Yes.
it's all in waves.
It's like rapid as well. When I was a teen, I was into a lot of Tumblr fashion and things like that, and it is back in full force. I teach singing, so I get to see all these trends right before my very eyes because I teach anywhere from like 5 to 6 year olds to pretty much any age. I think my oldest student was in their 60s. So it's really, really cool to see from all the kids that come in what music they like. And it's also really funny to see the looks on their faces or the how they interact with me after they've found my music online or have found media of me online. Like they're like, oh, like there's like a delicacy to how they talk to me, and I'm like, you found me online, didn't you? You listened to my music. And all the time I love to bring them like stickers and things like that because they ask, and it's a really it's really fun to teach them about how music is made because I do it.
the Terror, which is your current band right now. Of course, people are gonna see it. We're gonna link the album and everything
Hmm.
as well. How did it come about as far as I know you said you met in university, so how, as far as was it necessarily you wanting to start, this band, or was it did it just naturally happen? Did the stars align in the universe and it was like this is it? And also, what is your songwriting method more or less? Like what do you actually draw inspiration from? I know some people draw inspiration from books, film.
Yes. So actually, on that, my I feel like the most one of the fun parts about horror punk is seeing everyone's horror influences, and like it's horror punk can kind of be a collage of all your favorite things, which I love. But mine I like to think it's a smidge different. So I love spooky clowns that I've yet to write a song about, but it's coming. I love vampires. So like black and white, Bela Lugosi, Nosferatu, all that stuff. Pretty much any vampire media I will watch. I'm very big on Sweeney Todd. That is like a big special interest for me at the moment, actually. Um, I love um I love the literature behind these as well. Like I read as a kid, I'm pretty sure it's the Catholic abridged version, but I read Dracula and Frankenstein as a kid. Um, and I am also where I lived most of my time in America. Um, Edgar Allan Poe lived there briefly, so I take a lot of inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe because throughout school, at least once every couple of years, we would in our English literature classes we would analyze Edgar Allan Poe's work. So I we actually have a song called Berenice based on I think a lesser known Poe story, but I still think that it's I think it's one of his most gory pieces. And basically, it's about a a guy who wants to marry this lady, and um, she is dying of an illness of some sort, and the only thing that is staying the same about her is her teeth. Like the only thing that won't decay is her teeth. So he blacks out and wakes up at the end of it with a box of her teeth. So that is we've got songs based on that. Um, I love I like a slasher. I'm okay with a slasher. I like more films with a gothic um
Like presentation.
lens. Yes. So I think that's why I love Sweeney Todd so much. It's just so visually me. And what I and music wise, of course. I was a I did do musical theater for a while, so I do have a bit of an appreciation for that. And I think that that background for me helps with the theatricality of not only our music but our stage presence as well. Um, so yeah, I love all of those things. I think um going back to My Chemical Romance, even their like Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, that has left a very lasting impression on me. Their visuals, especially Helena music video, things like that. So anything that has that kind of like we were saying, that like gothic world building, I love. And that really inspires me. I lived There's a massive Anglican cathedral here in Liverpool. I could stare at that for ages and write a whole album just looking at that because it is just this massive Gothic building. Um, that and I think I did go to Catholic school growing up, and I did grow up Catholic, and I think being in Gothic churches and sitting there during church with ADHD, zoning out, staring at the stained glass. I think that helped too. Um, so yeah, I a lot of vampire films, a lot of black and white films. Um, there's actually an author from where I'm from in South Carolina, actually, um, called Grady Hendrix, and I love his literature at the moment. I know he's doing really well. I there's a book called The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I feel like that is just very fitting for me. Although I have ADHD and it's difficult for me to finish a book. So I like it so far.
It's okay. I actually grew up Catholic as well. And as far as, Catholicism, I think people, not to get on the topic of religion, because, people will get upset about it. I think people don't realize how dark the presentation is.
Absolutely so morbid.
Even if we even talk about funerals as well. It's
And
kind of a dark presentation of everything. So I can understand why you would
gravitate that way.
yeah.
Yes, that and my grandfather on my dad's side, when I would go visit. So I was born in West Virginia and lived there for a while, but my grandparents lived in South Carolina, which is how I ended up there. And when I would visit my grandfather, we would go to parks and playgrounds and stuff because I was a child. However, we would also next to those playgrounds because it is the holy city, Charleston. There would always be a graveyard or a cemetery nearby, and we he would take me by the hand and walk me through cemeteries, and I think that is such a why I make so many allusions in our music to mausoleums, to cemeteries, crypts, all that stuff. I love it. And I think um why I think I write best from a horror lens is because of that Catholic upbringing and the morbidity of it. Um and I think that it's just easiest to me to kind of use funerals, cemeteries, vampirism, all that stuff as like similes or metaphors for things that I actually go through. I'm a pretty high anxiety person, or I can be. I'm happy to say that I think I've conquered a good bit of it. Of course, it can always come back to bite you, or come back when things get tough. But um, I like to I would always think about it as like in a high pressure situation as like well, I'm gonna die. So I think it's just easiest for me to relate my experiences to things of that nature because of that.
Any upcoming shows that we should be looking forward to, like around, fall? Well, we're kind of in fall, I guess. I
Yeah,
guess. Kind of. We're
are in England. I'm sure America feels lovely right now. Um, well, actually, I would know because my mother calls me all the time and she's like, "Oh, it's so hot out here in South Carolina." And I'm like, "Great. It got cold 3 weeks ago over here." Um, so yes, we do have two upcoming shows with Zombina and the Skeletons as well. One of them being the 2 year anniversary of We Are Horror Records. So it'll be Zombina and us and siblings and Das School, not in that order, I think. But nonetheless, we'll all be there. And that is in Stafford at Red Rum. And then we will be playing Rough Trade in Liverpool for Zombina's album release party, with a band called Moth Slut, who I adore. I adore them so much. They make Darkwave, I believe. Um, Also vampire vibes. So the vampire vibes will be strong that night, and that one is at Rough Trade in Liverpool on October 18th. We'll also be doing an all night Halloween spooky festival at the Quarry in Liverpool on November 1st. So that will be so fun and amazing. I'm very excited for all of them. We also we've got a lot of fun different project things we're doing with the Terror. Of course, we are gearing up for this album. So right now, I'm currently just working on that album art. With it's sounding gorgeous. Um, and picking singles is the hardest part. Picking singles is so hard because, of course, we're so proud of our work that we're like, we just want everyone to have it all. But in the meantime, we do have a Bauhaus cover for whenever we feel like it, to give to everyone. It is of Stigmata Martyr, and we will be having remixes done of Worms for Brains, which is already out. So we hope to have those available for Halloween parties, hopefully.
And where can everyone follow you?
We've got an Instagram, Toria and the Terror. We've got TikTok at Toria and the Terror. Facebook, I believe, is also at Toria and the Terror. And we do have a Twitter, but I don't like Elon Musk, so I don't always have a look at it.
It's okay. It's a lot of bands are not even on Twitter really anymore. They just have it to hold their name. And
Exactly.
you're not
So
missing much over there. I'm just gonna you're not missing much, trust me. I my Twitter's very active, so you're not missing a whole lot. But trust me, it's there if you ever want to go there, but
yeah,
everything's kind of like since the update's kind of like a mess. So
yeah. Oh, I forgot one thing that's fun we can talk about. Worms for Brains will be having a music video at some point. Um, and the makeup will be done, makeup direction will, and some of the direction will be done by my best friend of all time, who is a special effect makeup artist on our side of America. And he's called Hayden, Atrophy Effects, and his attention to detail and gore is amazing, and he actually was a really big influence for me to get more into horror. So yeah, I can't wait to get to collaborate with my best friend basically.
it's great. You know, you got some exciting stuff coming up. We'll, of course, link all your socials and your single as well. At least the current one we have for We Are Horror. So,
Thank you.
once again, my name is Ashley Rose, but you can call me Ash, and I was joined here today by Toria Terror. So, bye.
Yes, bye.